Welcome to ZBTR TV.
The goal is to unearth and document the Zambian narrative in the best way possible.
Catch us live every Saturday on Facebook and YouTube.
We broadcast every Saturday at 10 a.m. EST, 7 a.m. PT.
With a growing audience across the globe, we connect Zambians and share resources abroad.
Be part of our journey. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
With a growing audience across the globe, we connect Zambians and share resources abroad.
The ZBTR TV show.
Did you know? Less than 10% of our viewers are subscribed. Don't miss out. Be part of the commute. Mark your calendars. Every Saturday, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time and 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Flow live.
Welcome to the show.
Hello. Welcome to our midweek special feature. I know you are all used to seeing us here on Saturday, but I just want to let everybody know that starting from now, we shall be doing a show on Wednesday, okay? So we're going to be doing shows on Wednesday and on Saturday because there's just too much to do. There's just too much material to talk about. There's too much material to cover. Welcome to the show. Welcome. And I think one of the things that we need to do is to say congratulations to the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hichilema, from ZBTR TV on your re-election as President of Zambia with an overwhelming win. We congratulate you, sir, and we recognize a hard-fought campaign. And also to Mr. Mundubile for putting up a good fight, putting your team together in 3-4 months and going for a presidential campaign. That is, that's just a commendable job. Before we go into the discussion, let me bring up my partner in crime here. Hi, Mohammed.
How are you?
So you're excited about Wednesday?
I'm excited about Wednesday. I'm excited about this opportunity. Definitely looking forward to hearing from everybody. I think it's going to be a fantastic discussion.
Yes, and we brought back our team. I'm excited that we have a lady on the panel. Right? We have a lady on the panel.
That's right.
Every time, yeah. Now, two things that I probably need to clarify or just sort of talk about housekeeping here. I had announced that we were working on trying to find somebody to speak to the issue of the seditious act allegation, which the government has put on the Mundubile team. Unfortunately, that cannot happen because this thing is in the hands of law enforcement, and therefore we cannot speak to it. And trust me, everybody, I put our search team together to try and get somebody. I was specifically trying to get Mr. Mundubile's personal lawyer. Unfortunately, I understand he's also in detention and all those kind of things. So that's not going to happen since this has become, a case against the state and the suspected seditious. So we can't deal with it. I can't just even find anybody to talk about it. Nobody's willing to come and speak to this. It's a sensitive, it's a dangerous matter. All right. Well, today we are honored and privileged to have our team come. This is the lady we've been waiting for.
Hi, everyone.
Johanna Mwaki Fwamba, right?
Yes.
Did I say that right? Johanna is
yes, you did.
Yeah, Johanna is a social worker and she's part of the Girls Gone Political organization. I like the name of that organization.
Thank you.
By the way, on Saturday, Joanna is going to come back again with and co-host with me. We are working on a show for Saturday, women who participated in these elections, okay? From councillors to parliament, we might even get the presidential candidate. Joanna, thanks for joining us and welcome to ZBTR.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. And also, a regular contributor here, Mr. Simon. I call these guys the brains of Zambia. Simon, welcome.
Thank you so much, Pastor. And welcome to also everybody else that is streaming from around the world.
All right. Excellent. All right. We're also honored and privileged to be joined by Mr. Dennis Kayo, who was the mayor candidate under the UPND for Luansha district. Dennis, welcome.
Thank you so much, Pastor. I'm honored to be here, and also greetings to every viewer across the world.
All right. Today, our conversation is about the Hichilema presidency in the next 5 years. Okay? So we are basically going to do an overview reflection of somebody has got an echo, which means there's something else on in your background. So we are going to do an overview of a little bit of the elections, a little bit of the president's speech, and then just say what is in the next 5 years. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Joanna, since it's your first time here, I'm going to ask this question to everyone. So Muhambi is both a guest and a co-host. He's going to ask questions and he's also going to respond to this. Johanna, everybody get ready to answer this question. What was the one thing or highlight about the just ended election? What was the highlight for you?
Okay, so the highlight for me in the just ended elections is the fact that we are moving away, people are moving away from doing politics or elections based on geographic area, based on political affiliation. For me, it spoke much with lived experiences, right? Yes, you might be doing things that you might think are right, but people will still come back and ask, how is this benefiting me as an individual? How is it benefiting even just the ordinary Zambian citizen? So for me, I feel like people have gotten to a point where they're actually voters are able to tell what really works for them and what does not. And they're not really inclining to which geographic area they belong to, which political affiliation is inclined to the area they are at, the tribe, the ethnic group. People are now looking at what can benefit them as an individual, as a family, as a community. So that's my key takeaway from the just ended elections.
Okay, excellent. Simon, what was your big issue for you in this election?
Do you mind perhaps repeating the question, Pastor?
I'm saying, what was the one thing or the big issue that stood out for you out of this election?
Okay, so specifically with regards to what, so that I can respond to the question.
Generally, the whole election for you, what stood out? What was the one thing that stood out for you out of the election? What did you observe?
Okay, so basically, I think, it was all about selecting the best candidate that was available, of course. And when you look at the rural area itself, of course, I think we might have undermined the rural area's capabilities when it comes to voting, because we thought as if, when you look at the Copper Belt province, as well as Lusaka being possible strongholds, of course. I think even statistics show that these two provinces actually gave the opposition quite a number of votes. But, I think perhaps the majority of the young people themselves are the ones that had the say, because when you look at the outcome, it was basically based on ideas and what people have done. You see, and I think people had voted on that basis. But with the rest of the observations, because I wouldn't like to be biased in my observation, as we go on with the show, I think I'll give quite a number of reactions that the public have on the ground currently.
Okay.
Yes.
Mohambi and Dennis, what happened to the notion or theory of you win Lusaka and the Copper Belt, you win it all? What just happened to that?
I will echo what Brother Simon said. I think this election showed that the electorate, those who study politics, analysts, they underestimated the rural vote. A lot of politicians across the board tend to underestimate those who sit outside city centers. And I think this election showed that rural voters are engaged. They are engaged civically. They know what's going on. They pay attention.
Yes.
And I think this election was a clear example of that. You saw that in the results. The president, he didn't really need some of the city centers. He could afford to lose some cities in the Copper Belt because they had an excellent ground game. So I think this is a good time for rural voters. They showed that they are engaged, and politicians, to their detriment, should engage with them. They're not backwards. They do, in fact, pay attention.
Yeah, wow. Dennis?
All right. Thank you so much, Pastor. I think just to add on what my brothers have submitted, the previous episode, I think I had indicated that based on the voter distribution, it indicated that 5 million voters are in the rural areas and about 3 million voters is in the urban areas. So basically from the start of the election, it was a predictable game in that those in the rural areas were quite a lot compared to us in the urban places. So the lesson that we get out of that is that Zambia is bigger than Lusaka and the Copper Belt alone. And the turnout of this election is a clear indication that noise is separate from real voters. And the real voters I'm talking about are those ordinary citizens that we overlook in the rural areas that register quietly, that show up quietly, that vote quietly. And even after the elections, the real voters, again, they are still quiet. It's us in the urban areas that do not actually vote, that keep on making noise on social media, talking and doing a lot of things. But the real voters are always observing things from the background. So we never underestimate the citizens that are in the communities that are quiet.
I like that.
I just want to add, Pastor, there's a term in American politics that was coined in the 60s called the silent majority. And when Nixon won, they called it the silent majority. And then when Trump won in 2016, they called it the silent majority. The people outside that, are quiet, they don't look like they engage in politics, but they're actively engaged. So I think in this election, it was that silent majority outside the city centers that really won the election for the president.
Won the election, yeah. I can see both Simon and Johanna smiling. So let's push this button further of the silent majority. Simon and Johanna, the rural community just sent a message to the nation through this election. What was the message?
I think the message that the rural community sent to the nation is that we don't just want to be passengers in whatever decisions are made in the big cities. We want to show you that we also have an upper hand in making the decisions that will shape the future of our children, will shape the future of our country, Zambia. Many are the times that we feel the rural communities are only passengers or partakers of whatever is decided from the urban cities. But then what they're trying to communicate is we too can take a part in shaping the future of this nation.
Yes.
We too can make the Zambia that we want. And it was very loud and clear. And just to add on, I feel like many other times we center growth and development of an economy on the urban cities without really focusing on the rural communities.
The rural communities, yes.
Yes. There are certain things that for the urban communities, it's just one of those things that they've experienced for a very long time. But for rural communities, when certain growth and changes take place, it's evident. It shows. These are things that they relate to on a day-to-day basis. These are things that they experience. They ask questions to themselves like, is my child able to access proper education? Is my child able to access a good school? Am I able to access the nearest healthcare facility? And those are for the urban communities, they might seem little, small, but these are big things that will help shape the narrative around elections and politics in general. That's why we notice that strongholds are not really strongholds until the majority decides it's a stronghold. Okay.
Yeah.
So we see communities where we thought are strongholds for certain political parties, but then we got the shocks of our lives. So many times we assume these people just want to get decisions that are made from the higher tables, but they just sent a message, say, look, we also have an upper hand in making the decisions and building the Zambia that we want for ourselves.
Interesting. Okay, Simon, what message did the rural community send from your point of view?
Okay, so basically when we're talking about the rural areas in this country, I think the northwestern, western and southern regions are the ones that actually showed the nation that in as much as they are quiet,
even Eastern, Simon.
I think when you look at the largest turnout,
okay,
voters, you would see the opposition leader being left behind with a hang margin. You find that you get 300 votes against 40,000. And I think in other parts, again, he would get about 547 against 30,000. And I think this was just a pattern that was from the northwestern, western, and as well as southern region. I think that rural part of the country voted. And I think those are the ones that actually showcased to the nation that the people in the rural areas can vote. But with regards to the Copper Belt, of course, and Lusaka, you see, they always say, I think the narrative has always been that when the Copper Belt province and Lusaka, vote in a particular pattern, they are just actually trying to show a particular individual, a sitting head of state, that the door out is this side. But in as much as we were able to see even sitting cabinet ministers, of course, lose their seats to opposition and independent. On the Copper Belt, I think places like Chingola, we have got Kawata constituency in Lusaka, where they have decided to pick all opposition candidates as councillors everywhere, and the MP himself. So it's opposition now that is dominated, among others, of course. So I think that is how it was. But when you look at the eastern part, Muchinga, northern, Luapula, when you look at the margins, of course, they were not so very wide because, you know, if the opposition candidate will get 10,000, at least the head of state will get about 3,000.
Okay.
I think that was the margin that was there in the rural parts. Now,
that's actually my next question, to say, how competitive were the two candidates region by region, province by province, and if you want, you can even narrow it down to district by district, because what I have seen, for example, those watching can probably, I have my figures somewhere, I left them on that table. This was a very competitive, where in was it Munali or Kanyama, where Mundubire got 41,000, and I think the president...
Munali constituency, my constituency, Munali parliamentary constituency, where I vote from.
You see, the president, Mundubire got 41,000, and the president got 30,000. So it's like, when you look at the entire nation, apart from the three provinces, they are calling them the four cousins, okay? Central, Central, Northwestern, Western, and Southern. Apart from those areas, you can see that this battle was very competitive, Dennis. Is it there? Okay, Mohammed, you can tell that this was very competitive, actually. Apart from those four provinces, this was very competitive.
Yeah, I think, and I'm curious to hear from the others, that, you know, I think it was a very competitive race, definitely in some of the aforementioned provinces. And I think that I think it shows that voters are engaged. And I think also competitive races are good in democracies in general. I think this election, one of the things that at least I took away, and I should have said this in the beginning, yes, you know, there have been concerns about, you know, irregularities and, you know, legal avenues, which of course the opposition party is available to take course. I think this election really showed that democracy is alive and well, certainly in Zambia. And of course, I know foreign observers have been saying other things, but I think one of the takeaways that I generally got away, and you saw in some of the numbers in some of these districts, is that voters are engaged, and both parties really have a responsibility to whether it's the opposition party. I think the opposition party certainly has a responsibility to articulate a more coherent policy vision. And I think the governing party has a responsibility, and this is my main takeaway, and the voters in rural areas and some of these provinces, the takeaway I think for them was we want deliverables, as someone said that in the comments. We want actionable policies. We want actionable policies in our communities, because, you know, if we don't, as Simon said, you know, the door will see you in 2031. So I think that for me, that is why you think you had so many close races and competitive races. People want deliverables and actionable policies. And so if you can't do that, they're in trouble.
You are just speaking Martin's words here, okay? Simon, I hope you can all see Martin's comment. UPND has a responsibility to rural communities, show deliverables in policy, okay? Yeah. You want to comment on that, Johan?
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's Dennis, you go ahead, whatever comment you wanted to make about what is on the floor.
All right, please kindly repeat the question. My network was breaking.
Yeah, the network was breaking. We were saying that how competitive were the two candidates, region by region, province by province. You can even narrow it down to district by district. what were your observations?
All right. I think for me it comes back to the first conversation that we started with on what separates noise from real voters. Like my brother Msonda earlier said, the principle of the silent majority applied here, and I feel based on that, it was not as competitive as people are analyzing it. Maybe competitive in terms of noise, but when it comes to votes, I highly doubt that these elections were competitive, because when you look at the margin, okay, the only competitive elections since 1991 were the 2001 elections and also the 2021 elections, the 2016, sorry. And these are the only elections in our history which were challenged in court. And even these ones, I doubt if they'll be challenged, because you can't petition such a margin. But what creates this analogy that there was competition is how people expected the UPND to perform, and also the opposition themselves. I feel UPND could have done better compared to the 2.9 votes that they've acquired out of these elections. If it was properly managed, I feel they could have scored even 3 million, even 4 million votes. But what made these elections is how they handled the past 5 years, especially in Lusaka and also the Copper Belt, because the performance declined compared to the 2021 elections. So I feel there are only things that we need to work on. But when we compare province to province, I feel the UPND did better, because they were able to penetrate the opposition strongholds and still managed to secure their own strongholds.
Okay, all right, excellent. Okay, we are now going to transition here. Yeah, go ahead, Johanna.
Just to add on, I feel like also what has really contributed to it not being very competitive, like he put it, is an aspect of voter apathy. Unfortunately, from my observation, a lot of people shunned away from voting because they felt they were better off not voting altogether.
Why? Why do you think it was like that?
Why do I feel it was like that? I feel like people did not have a better option to say. Majority of the information on the ground is people felt like they didn't have a better option, so they are better off not voting altogether. So there's also an aspect of voter apathy. And then also I feel like there's really much that we need to do in terms of investing in proper voter education. Unfortunately, we have a society that has little to no knowledge about the proper procedure of an electoral process. So also that has contributed much to the statistics that we have in regards to the previous elections. So voter apathy and also poor voter education to the majority of the Zambian citizens.
I agree with you, Joanna, 110%, because the reason I went off screen, I ran to the other side of the room to pick my sheets of paper. Okay, so when what do you call it? When a chairperson of ECZ made the final, for me, this is the statistic I was waiting for her to announce. Okay, total registered voters, I'm just rounding off, 8.7 million. Total votes cast, 4.9 million. Think about that. 8.7 to 4.9. actual voters. And the spoiled, and the spoiled ballot was 126,000, which is also terrible. The turnout percentage nationwide, 57%. This is not good. That's a topic for another day. Anyway, I intend to reach out to ECZ to have a conversation about this. And no, to be very honest with you, everybody watching, personally, this is not I know. Somebody was telling me, an American friend of mine was telling me that it's worse in America. That's what they said, okay? That's what they told me. Anyway, I want us to transition here to talk about the president's first address after being, after, what do you call it? The first address he made. That's what I want us to analyze. But I'll hand over to Muhabi to do this. But Martin says, perhaps Zambian voters should not listen to unverified commentators on Facebook who spew misinformation. Yeah, a lot of it. I mean, Martin, I have received so many videos about somebody claiming this election is rigged. And I'm saying to myself, I go on Facebook and I make a comment, and for you, that proves that the election was rigged. Come on, you can do better than that. You can do better than that. I agree voter education is needed. We need to bring Electoral Commission of Zambia here to talk about voter registration. I'm just going to ask one question about the president's speech, and then Mohambi, you can pick up, direct the conversation, the direction of the conversation. Dennis, what was your impression of the opening remarks in the president's speech?
All right, thank you so much. I think the presidential speech was excellent, well delivered, in that it echoed on the beauty and also importance of democracy. I think in our history, this has been the most debated elections, especially on social media. But I feel the president echoed much on how that also works well to our democracy, because our divergent views are the ones that supports the growth of our governance system and also democracy at large. The other thing also I feel was important was the respect that he gave to his competitors. I feel many citizens expected these elections to go without any competition, but the president respected the beauty of democracy in that we had competition. We had NRP that also worked hard to ensure that they are able to get a good number of votes, which is also good for our democracy. The other thing also which stood out for me was the president highlighting what he has done in the past 5 years and also giving the path to the next 5 years. Of course, he spoke about free education. And,
we shall get into that, actually. We are going into that.
All right.
Joanna, what was your impression of the opening remarks by the president? Let me add on something to this as well. If you didn't vote for him, would you feel he was fatherly?
Okay. I think I'll also re-echo to what was earlier highlighted, the fact that he spoke on what he was able to deliver in his previous term of service, and also what he envisions for the next 5 years. About being feeling fatherly.
You are a wounded soul. Your candidate has lost. Did the president comfort you?
I'll put it this way. I feel like after an election, right?
An
election should be able to put out who the winner is, but without making certain citizens feel like they're no longer part of their country.
Yes, yes.
I hope that answers your question.
Well, it's not answering my question, it's your comment. That's your response. Simon, let's welcome Joseph here. Simon, what was your impression of the president's remarks in his speech? And if you didn't vote for him, do you feel he came out fatherly?
Okay, so Pastor, thank you so much. So I'll respond to this question in this manner. I think when I had just left secondary school, I joined activism. So I found myself sharing solutions on my social media platform. And I would share solutions from there, talk about issues with regards to how the ZNS and other service, defense force services, and would engage into agriculture, So one day I decided to wake up and say, I'm going to ZNBC to release a statement. And when I arrived there, to cut the story short, I met a former minister around. So, we had a brief chat together, and I asked him how it felt to be a leader in governance. So he told me it's not easy. I said it's something that should be exciting because you get to move around with different kinds of services. And he responded, he said, let me tell you, when you become a leader, you become a leader for all Zambians, regardless. So with the president, his speech, of course, he demonstrated actually the highest levels of leadership, because he made it very clear to the people that even if you didn't vote for me, I've now become the president for all Zambians regardless. And it simply means that even if somebody else in the marketplace did not give him a vote, if that person is qualified for a job, nobody is supposed to point at them and say, this one was PF or NRPUP. They must go into the public service and they become a civil servant. They become loyal to the government of the day. So the speech was very unifying. He reminded us that there was no winner because the Zambians were the winners. So it was very unifying. I think much more expected of a president for all Zambians and not a president for his party. So you resign from political affiliation, psychologically, mentally, and everything else around when you take up the role of leadership.
Okay, excellent. All right, before Mohambi responds, we've already got the show for next Wednesday already set up. Next Wednesday, we are going to talk about the Zambian presidency, or the series is called the Hichilema Presidency, and we're going to talk about different topics, okay? So next week, Wednesday, we're going to talk about governance and human rights. What is the human rights and governance record in Zambia? Not just President Hichilema. That's what we're going to talk about next week. And then on Saturday, Joanna and I here are hosting a show. We're putting together a panel of women candidates who participated in this election, and they are going to give us their experiences and what women can contribute to. So Mohambi, before you throw your questions to this intelligent panel here, what was your takeaway from the president's remarks?
I will also echo the remarks of, I think, my co-panelists. It's remarks that are befitting of a president. After an election, obviously tensions are high, and you don't want to be like the United States president and just say that you're president for one portion of America and everybody else, I don't care about you. You have to unify. And so I like what the president said. Obviously I'm paraphrasing, but I'll be a president for all Zambians, whether you voted for me or you did not vote for me. And I think that message is also important. And that's something I would also like to see from the opposition party. At the end of the day, Zambia is bigger than these two leaders, and it's incumbent, especially upon the opposition. People don't realize that really concession speeches are very, very vital in democracies, because they tell the opposing side, listen, we did our best. We didn't win this time. We came up short. Let's support the incoming government and we can try again in 5 years. So the president's speech was befitting of the president. I hope the opposition can do the same once that time comes, because it's important for, again, the country to unify. As we've all said over Wednesday, there's a reason why Zambia has maintained its status as one of the most stable democracies on the African continent. Again, the world is still watching. Let's show the world why that is so. So those are my thoughts.
Okay. All right. You have some questions for these people?
Oh, sure. I'm so used to talking. So first question is, and I'll throw it out to Joanna, then Simon and Dennis can answer. What should the president do differently in his second term compared with his first? Second term is always different. So what do you think the president should do, or what should he do differently in the second term compared to the first? So I'll let Joanna answer, and then Simon and Dennis can answer.
Okay. What he should do differently? I feel like he should take the time to really understand what's going on to the ordinary Zambian citizen. Take the time to understand exactly what it is that, what challenges they're facing and how best you can be able to handle that. He can start from going back from the drawing board and seeing what, from the progress that he has made, what are the hiccups, what are the loopholes, and be able to seal those loopholes and fill those gaps that are remaining. Take the time to fully understand what's really going on, unlike what you're getting as reports or hearsays from the assigned people that you have assigned in certain places to be able to do certain things for you. I understand he can't be everywhere all the time, but it's important that he gets to really put himself in that position, the position of certain individuals, the ordinary Zambian citizen. What is really the challenge that you're having, and how best can I come on board and help you and meet you at your points of need?
Simon?
Okay, so as for me, Pastor, I found myself born during an era where we had just received Zambia's third Republican president around, who we remember today on the 19th of August, President Mwanawasa. And most of the time I would find myself asking my parents, President Mwanawasa, because I was not yet mature enough to understand some of the things that he did for this country. This is my president's final term. And in this set of 5 years, maybe I might marry at the end. Then I'll have children under another. I'll have children eventually once another one takes over. But I want to remember my president as a person that had devoted his life to the service of the people and focused on reviving the economy, focused on microeconomic recovery, which he had promised the people of Zambia. And it was a success at the end of the day.
Yes.
I would like to see my president focus more on working, because this is his final term. So what stories am I going to tell my kids about him when they ask about Zambia's seventh president? So in this set of 5 years, I don't know whether he's listening or somebody's listening. I want to see my president focused more on work, pardoning all those people that had erred in the regime, of course, previous regime, reconciling this country, uniting the nation, breeding peace, of course. and allowing democracy to flourish. I think he should do those things far much better. I want to remember my president as a person who devoted his life to the service of the people. I don't want to tell people other stories when they ask me ahead. Yes. So I think the major focus should be on microeconomic recovery, which he started. Because when you would hear him from the olden days as he was speaking, he would say Africa needs businessmen that will join politics and actually contribute to the growth of the economy of those various countries, so that that economy will be a regional hub, so that many people come and benefit from it, not for business purposes but for service. So I want to see that in the last set of 5 years, so that whenever somebody asks me or my son or daughter who is coming, tell me about Zambia's seventh president, I would say he was a man who had contributed to microeconomic recovery when the economy was damaged by a certain regime. Yes, Pastor.
Mohambi, just a short comment on what Simon has said. I don't know whether you guys were there when in 1990-91, when
No,
Dr.
I was not.
No, you were not. None of you were there. When that day, when Dr. Kaunda signed the law repealing the one-party state and reintroducing multi-party democracy, Simon, there's one announcement he made which still rings in my mind today. The coup plotters will be set free. Remember, there had been a coup attempt. He said the coup plotters will be released. I'm just throwing that out there. Okay, Mohambi, who's next to answer your question?
Dennis was the next one. What can the president do differently in the second term compared with the first?
All right. Thank you so much. I feel President Hakainde Hichilema's first term was focused first on macroeconomic stability. I think as a country we had so much to recover from, and it required a lot of discipline and also recovery from so much that went on economically. So the past 5 years was spent on what he terms as the heavy lifting, removing the heavy lifting through debt restructuring, bringing back investor confidence, and ensuring that the economy is stable. So moving on now to 2026 to 2031, the first thing that I would love to see from President Hakainde Hichilema is to improve the cost of living, as echoed by Joanna earlier on today. I think, of course, some of us that are educated, that are able to see what was going on, we are able to appreciate things like debt restructuring, but ordinary citizens, it became a burden to them in that they couldn't see low inflation being converted into much lower prices like they expected. They couldn't see macroeconomic stability being converted into reduced prices as they expected. And so the president should work on that, and that's what the UPND manifesto is centered on. The manifesto says that we need to produce more, export more, so that our economy can expand and also reduce the cost of living amongst citizens. That's where the vision of 10-10-5-3-3-1-1 comes in, because it's focused on producing more, exporting more, and ensuring that production actually reduces the cost of goods and also increases employment levels amongst our people. The other thing also that I would love to see is political reconciliation, democracy being strengthened, and also ensuring that state institutions are more strengthened than ever before. I think after this election period, there's a lot of grievances out there, and these are things that cannot be ignored, because in a democracy, every opinion matters just as much as the opinion of those that many of us that supported President Hakainde Hichilema. So we need to ensure that those grievances, those opinions that the citizens are putting out there are worked on to ensure that we strengthen our democracy and also the institutions of our republic. The other thing also is that President Hakainde Hichilema should listen more to people beyond the UPND and also those within his circles. I think this whole election period, I supported President Hakainde Hichilema, but there was also a lot of wisdom in some of the posts, the comments that I received from people that were supporting either President Hakainde Hichilema and those outside President Hakainde Hichilema's support base. So I think in a governance, in a democracy, it is very important that we listen to the opinions of those that are both in the ruling party and also outside the ruling party.
So the president, I think right now, I just glanced at my phone. He's holding an event. He's thanking the youth for their support.
Okay. Where is the event?
At Community House. So young people were instrumental in his re-election. And so since we're all young, I think it's befitting that I ask this question. What do you think the president needs to do to deliver for young Zambians between now and when his term ends? I'll go with Joanna, same order, Joanna, Simon, and then Dennis.
Can you just repeat the question, please?
What does the president need to deliver for young Zambians between now and the conclusion of his second term?
Okay. So what he needs to deliver for the young people, I feel like he needs to get to know what exactly the young people need from him. Unlike imposing certain systems on the young people, maybe he should focus more on getting to fully understand what the young people need from him as a president. Maybe we can start from there.
Like this, check. Mary says she must remove the cyber law. Huh? Don't say anything. Don't say anything, Joanna. Don't say anything.
I won't.
Okay, continue, guys. Continue.
Simon, what about you? What does the president need to do? How can he deliver for young people? Young people obviously helped and aided his re-election. What does he need to do for young Zambians between now and the end of his second term?
Okay, so the coming of the Constitution Amendment Act number 13, of course, brought about mixed member proportional representation, or proportional representation system rather. Though I may have not agreed with some of the clauses that were in Bill 7, but which were later removed, things like stripping off by-elections and resorting to nominating people. But I think it's a milestone achievement because we'll be having 15 young people in the National Assembly of Zambia. I've also seen from the adoptions of the president in his political party, we have people like the Member of Parliament for Lupososhi, Honorable, or rather Member of Parliament elect, Honorable Shadrack Katuta. We have got Madam Vumba Malambo in Kafue. Also a colleague somewhere who is the ward councillor for Kafue. All those, I think that's inclusive growth. Now, in the next set of 5 years, we just don't want to see people just become parliamentarians because it's not all of us that have made it there.
Yes.
Inclusive growth means appointing a young person into service commissions, of course, a very mature one, appointing a young person in cabinet. We want to see someone there at least, even 2. We don't just want to see special assistants because that has been the precedent that has been there. Permanent secretaries being entrusted on young people, at least even to deputy level, so that the person is getting to learn. just from there. Because if you're going to say it's all about giving people bursaries and meal allowances which are being increased, yes, it's good. But to what extent should the young people be included, of course, in decision making? I think we need to see all that. With empowerment, I think we've seen Msepela up among many other very important initiatives which have been brought on board. I think that must be commended, but we need to see inclusive growth rather in the next set of 5 years, where nobody is left behind, even the common person in the rural area. Then that way, young people will be recognized and they'll benefit.
Dennis, same question. What does the president need to do to deliver for young people in his second term?
All right. Thank you so much. I think when it comes to young people, I think from the first term of President Hakainde Hichilema, he has prioritized the interest of young people, be it students or those that are involved in politics. We can talk about the empowerment that we can see when it comes to young people, those in tertiary education, young people when it comes to employment. Like he echoed earlier on that the 40,000 teachers that were employed, majority are young people. The 20,000 health workers that were employed, majority are young people. And like my brother has stated, the constitutional amendment itself, it puts the interest of young people first to ensure that they become participants of our governance system. But it does not end there, because proportional representation will only accommodate 15 youths, which does not cater for everyone. And like it has been earlier echoed on, that not every youth is involved in politics. What matters is inclusive leadership to ensure that every voice of young people is heard, be it a carpenter, be it an entrepreneur, be it those involved in health, be it those involved in education and many other sectors. So I'm, I'm hoping to see more appointments being given to young people as well. I'm hoping to see more empowerment being given to young people. I'm hoping to see that many young people are given the platform to grow and to ensure that they become participants of governance in our democracy in Zambia, because they make up the majority of the Zambian population. And a government that does not invest in its youth is a government who is not preparing for its future. So I'm hoping that President Hakainde Hichilema invests more into young people based on the trajectory that he has already embarked on.
Excellent. So my final question on. Oh, sure. Would you like to add? Please.
Just to add on, I also feel like it's important that we practice intergenerational mentoring. I feel like there's a gap between our generation and the older generation, and many are the times that when we try to work with the older generation, it comes off like we are trying to fight them. But I feel like it's important that the older generation takes the time to mentor us into certain spaces that they feel we cannot take up just by virtue of you being a youth. Because yes, I am a youth, but maybe what I bring to the table is beneficial for the development of the country. And also, I feel like the president should not center much on creating job opportunities for specific professions. We have a variety of professions that majority of the Zambian youth have expertise in, but then you notice that there's only massive recruitment for health workers, for teachers. What happens to the social workers? What happens to those in the secretariat professions? So I feel like he needs to strike a balance between various disciplines of professions for the Zambian youth.
Thank you for that. My last question is a very simple question. What does the 2026 election tell us about the future of Zambian democracy. So Simon can go first, and then Joanna, and then Dennis. So opposite. What does this election tell us about the future of Zambian democracy?
Well, my response will be in the manner in which I've chosen to respond to the question that you brought. The future is youth. It's
I like
just
that.
time for young people to mobilize themselves. I was having a conversation with a young person. I think it was yesterday. And I must tell you that most of these young student leaders, which you neglect or look down on, Pastor, I think they'll, once they decide to mobilize each other, they will actually overthrow our elders. And they will
Be
retire
careful.
them.
Be careful with your words. Be careful with your words. Remember, Mary has put up. Mary says you should remove the cyber law.
Okay, let me baptize my term so that I'm not misquoted.
I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you.
Politicians. That's what I'm trying to say. They will retire our politicians who are currently, and they will take over from them eventually, and they will be running systems. But I think the important thing is that we should never ever neglect our elderly people. We should always try to learn from them, like what has been said and observed by all of us. Let the young people, the best, be groomed, or rather taught or mentored, so that when the time comes for them to take over, there will be no vacuum in the leadership spaces. But if we're going to neglect them, I'm telling you, they have realized the power that they have.
That's
And
right.
if they just say, this is the person that we want, or we decided to mobilize ourselves, it's very possible for them to take over and retire our elderly people. So the future is very much youth. I think that is what has been showcased. And youths are now becoming very much involved and committed to national.
I agree. It's not just youth, it's women. You women and youth.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the women aspect is now simply becoming dissolved, because now where we are going, I think running mates will be young people, or rather even presidential candidates will be young people. So yes, Pastor.
Joanna, same question. I think I know what you're going to say. The future is youth and women, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Okay. My thoughts would be the future is women and youth, yes, but also I think we are dealing with a Zambia now that is more awake, a Zambia that is more inclined to knowing what really they deserve as a nation. So I feel like Zambia has gotten to a point where they have come to a realization of their worth, if that's the correct word, and they'll do anything to protect that. And then with regard to the youth, yes, the youth have taken up their spaces, but just a caution to my fellow youth: in as much as we want to take up these leadership spaces, these political spaces and platforms, I feel it is important for us to realize our why we are taking up certain spaces and positions, why we want to stand for certain political positions. Because many are the times that we have this entitlement mentality of, you feel like you are entitled to certain privileges just because you are a youth. But the moment we realize our why, I think it's better, and it's for the best. It's for our own greater opportunity. Because once you realize why you're engaging yourself in certain spaces and platforms, it gives you a broader understanding for you to find ways on how you can best go about it. So not just the women and the youth, but Zambia at large has gotten to a point where it is awake, it knows its worth, and it will do anything to get what it deserves as a nation.
Dennis, same question to you before I pass it back to Pastor. What does this election tell us about the future of Zambian democracy. I don't think we can. Oh, he's on mute. You unmute yourself. Can you hear us? I think he's frozen.
Okay, whenever he's ready to
back to you.
Okay, whenever he's ready to speak, we can bring him on. One of the things that stood out in the president, one of the things that the president spoke about, he said job opportunity, investment opportunity, more jobs, more growth, more treasury revenue. Something stands out to me there, more treasury revenue. That it's a topic for another day. I'm interested in that. The thing that I have a quarrel with our government, not UPND or President Hichilema, government, okay, is that why do we prefer foreign investors to our own local people? Do you know that we can also build local investment? Just believe in the young people and help them with entrepreneurship, okay? It's not always building a multi-million-dollar factory. Even as a young person having a small operation in the corner somewhere, kuchimwemwe, where aingisha konaba nankwe nang 5 or 10, that is investment. It's very, very important. So before we go, how is this proportional representation going to be done? Joanna, is it the president who does it, or how does it work? How are they going to choose the women, the youth, and the people with disability? How are they going to be identified?
It's based on appointments, party appointments. Yes. So they'll be appointed through their various political parties.
Okay. Okay. So depending on the percentage or proportion the party has, that is the proportion they have towards the women, youth, and disability. Just like that's the way it works in what do you call it in South Africa. The party that has the highest number of people in parliament chooses a president, right? Something like that. All right, lady and gentlemen, thank you. You have made history. You are the ones who have. This is the debut show, a Wednesday show for ZBTR. So we shall hold this. Okay. Let me just put up this. Martin says UPND needs to communicate more effectively. I'm putting up this point, this comment, because they didn't do a good job in this area. UPND needs to communicate more effectively about policy wins, not one. Yes, he means win. Okay. And then the last comment from Dr. Munsanje, well-deserved discussion. Congratulations, ZBTR. Thank you, Dr. Munsanje. Dr. Munsanje has been with us from the beginning, 18 years we've been doing this. Okay, so every Wednesday, everybody will be here, same time, just like we do it on Saturday. So Saturday, I'm having a panel of women who participated in the elections, whether parliamentarian, councillor. I just sent a message to the presidential candidate, Joanna. I'll wait for her to respond. So join us Saturday. Joanna, thank you. Simon, thank you. And Dennis, thank you. You guys will be regulars here. This is your platform. I'm preparing for retirement, so I'm looking for people to take over this. Mohambi, always appreciate your time and you taking the time to be here. So everybody, I will see you on Saturday. Don't forget to follow us on ZBTR TV. We are on YouTube, X, which is used to be Twitter, and Facebook, so that when the show goes live, you will get that notification that we are live now. Thank you, everybody who tuned in today, and we'll see you on Saturday at the same time, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Zambia Blog Talk Radio.